The Toronto Raptors get absolutely smoked, blown out, destroyed. This was not good. This is not a good look. And this is happening far too often. This is not good. I'm trying to calm down. This game is so embarrassing on so many levels. You have defensive liabilities on the other end. Yes, the Clippers are a good team. They're a good team. You know, they've been playing really well. Kawhi Leonard is absolutely an MVP candidate. If they were a slightly better team and they hadn't started out as terribly as they had, he might actually have some serious action at MVP. He was the best player on the court tonight. It was not close. However, this is a team that is seeing Darius Garland, Benedict Mathurin, a 37-year-old Brook Lopez on the other end, who is a good rim protector, but is absolutely destroyed in space and cannot, for whatever reason, exploit the mismatches. On the other end, you have the Clippers, and they can exploit mismatches, as they did time and time again, switching RJ Barrett out. This live, I'm trying not to turn it into, I'm trying to learn from the past, yo. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be a better person. I don't want to repeat the Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Donovan Mitchell, frankly, lately, Emmanuel Quickly stuff. I'm really not trying to go at RJ Barrett like this. But if RJ Barrett is going to play like this, then RJ Barrett needs to sit out. Because tonight, RJ Barrett is the difference between you winning a game, potentially, and losing by 30. That's what it is. That's how horrible he was. Finishing, shot selection, off ball movement, defense, everything, rebounding, free throw shooting, 3-point shooting. There is not one positive thing you can say about RJ Barrett tonight, and I dare you to try. I sincerely dare you to try. This also was not a great game for Brandon Ingram. This just wasn't a great game for Brandon Ingram. A lot of tough shots. Yeah, he made a few, but he slowed down the offense. He dragged the pace. The Raptors had, quite frankly, an older team on the other end. You need to run. You have Nicholas Batum. He's 37. You know what's frustrating to me is that the Raptors actually had a chance to win tonight. I liked what I saw from Markelle Fultz. Shout outs to Jacoby Walter. He tried his best, but unfortunately got slowed down by foul trouble early. I loved what I saw from Jameson Battle. Scotty Barnes, low-key, had a actually pretty good game. Scoring was definitely not his forte tonight. Jump shot wasn't going for him. But man, his command and mastery defensively and in terms of playmaking, if his teammates just make layups, I counted at least 18 assists tonight for Scotty. That are like wide open threes, wide open layups that his teammates are just smoking. Scotty had the right idea. Push the pace, exploit the mismatches, find the gaps, find the cutters. Find the shooters. Find the right shooters. No, not Jamal Shad. No, not RJ Barrett. No, find the right shooters. Jamison Battle, Sandro Mamukelashvili. There's another player who had the right idea, and that was Markelle Fultz. I really like what I saw from Markelle tonight. There was a sequence where he found Sandro Mamukelashvili on back-to-back open threes right in his pocket. I tend to prefer players who have a general idea of how to play basketball on my professional basketball team. Call me old-fashioned, call me a snob. I really don't care. At this point, I am genuinely sick and tired of watching a team go out and make the same mistakes over and over again. Also, be remiss if I not give a shout out to Colin Murray Boyles. He was an abysmal negative 20 something, but I don't think any of that is really on him. I think he played competitively defensively. He had some tough finishing, touches in the paint with some massive size from them. On the other end, the Raptors really couldn't do much with Darius Garland or Kawhi Leonard or Benedict Mathurin, and it's really not a surprise that the Raptors lost this game. If you remember, I predicted that the Raptors would lose to the Phoenix Suns. I predicted they would lose this game as well. This was not the point is not losing this game. I really don't care that you lose this game. It doesn't move me that much. Yes, there's a standings implication. Every other team in your general race won tonight. I'll remind you, Atlanta won in overtime over Detroit by 1 point tonight. Philadelphia blew out Chicago tonight. Boston won. Miami, who is on your heels right now, they won. Who else won? Is that it? Mm, Milwaukee continues to fall apart, and the Raptors lost. If you want to look at the updated standings tonight, it's not great. The Toronto Raptors have slipped to sixth. Their command over sixth is half a game. They're half a game ahead of the Philadelphia 76ers, who won tonight. And if I look at Philly's schedule, let me not find out that they're playing a whole bunch of tanking teams next. Let's just check this out. They're playing Charlotte, they're playing Miami, they're playing Washington. They're probably going to pick up one or two victories there. Eh, okay. They've got maybe 5 wins here. So they're probably going to end up with about, let's say, they'll end up with 45 wins. Either way, you're probably going to end up at sixth. You're going to stay in sixth. You're not passing Atlanta anymore. I think Friday's game is a toss up, honestly. It really could be. And that's sad, given the fact that the Raptors got embarrassed by the Pelicans last game. I will tell you, there is a silver lining here. The Pelicans will be on the second leg of a back to back. So maybe the Pelicans will be tired and you'll beat them. So hopefully the Raptors can make some shots against that team. But Emmanuel Quickley looks like he's going to be out for a bit, or at least that's what I'm hearing. Like he could be out as the week to week thing with him. So we'll see. I personally don't think Emmanuel Quickley missing this game is the problem. I think the problem is that you start Jamal Shead and his backup is Markelle Fultz when you have a point guard in your starting lineup that needs shooters around him, which is Scotty Barnes. I like Jamal Shead. The Raptors are generally better with Jamal Shead in tow. However, Jamal Shead is not a good shooter. Scotty Barnes is not a good shooter. Jakob Poeltl ain't a shooter at all. RJ Barrett is not a good shooter. You have 4 non-shooters playing with Brandon Ingram in a lineup that is pretty much holding water because of Scotty Barnes' defense. When Scotty went to the bench in the first half, 2 times the Raptors gave up big runs. The Raptors were down 20 points at one point, and Scotty was a +3. Just think about like, wait, no, the Raptors were down. Man, I tweeted it out at one point. It's really insane. You need to start Jacoby Walter, not Jamal Shead. This is an obvious adjustment. And I don't care how Darko feels about starting Scotty Barnes at point guard. I really don't care at this point. Because if you're not going to bench RJ Barrett, then you're not willing to bench Jakob Poeltl for, I don't know, Sandro Mamukelashvili, well, then I'm going to need you to stop starting Jamal Shead. This is stubborn like you would not believe. Now, I understand there are certain things that are not in Darko's control, and those things I'm not going to hold him accountable for. I believe that people should be held accountable for things that are actually directly in their control. Having to play RJ Barrett is not in Darko's control. This is an asset that the Raptors are looking to move, and benching him is a major political decision. Darko does not have free reign at this point. Everyone wants to bring up, oh, well, Erik Spoelstra, he benched Norman Powell. One, Norman Powell is, yes, he is a much, much better player than RJ Barrett, so I understand that. But Erik Spoelstra has tenure. He's won championships. This is not a one-for-one equation. You cannot compare Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, Erik Spoelstra to Darko Rajakovic. Darko Rajakovic does not have that type of say within the organization. He cannot just carte blanche go and bench Scotty Barnes or bench Brandon Ingram. He has to play nice. He also has a job to take care of, and he's not going to go out of his way and ruffle feathers at this point. So I understand that you're going to have to start RJ Barrett. As imperfect a fit as he is next to the other 2 players, fine. You're going to start Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes because that is a non-negotiable. But that means that everything else around them is negotiable. Jakob Poeltl should be negotiable. Jamal Shead is definitely negotiable. And so if you're Darko Rajakovic, here's a thought. Why not go big? Because they start Darius Garland. If Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett are going to get the assignment of guarding Darius Garland 15, 20 times a game anyway, then what is the point of starting Jamal Shead? It's not like Jacoby can't. It's not like Jacoby hasn't shown you the ability to guard smaller players. It's not like Scotty hasn't shown you the ability to guard Steph Curry and Anthony Edwards. Like Scotty can, in a pinch, help and be capable on basically any player in this league. That's a gift, which means you could go small with Scotty at 5 in place of Jakob Poeltl and then start Jacoby Walter and then maybe, switch it up that way. Or you could go very big and put Scotty at the 1, start Jacoby at the 2, put Brandon Ingram at the 4, and then maybe, you have a little bit more size. You don't do either of those things. No, instead, you decide to start 4 non-shooters with Brandon Ingram, which complicates Ingram's life, Scotty's life, and frankly, everybody's life, and provides this horrible spacing. And then the most important thing here is everyone thinks about spacing in terms of three-point shooting. They're like, oh, we don't get enough threes. It's not just that. It's because you don't have the threat to shoot, then a really elite on-ball defender like Chris Dunn is free to roam off of his man, be it Markelle Fultz, be it Jamal Shed, be it Scotty Barnes, be it RJ Barrett. They are willing to cheat off of shooters to close middle every single time. The Raptors have been doing this all year, by the way. Whether Emmanuel quickly plays or doesn't play, your spacing is always atrocious. That is one thing I can say. Whether the Raptors were good or bad, their spacing is always bad. They've won games this year on grit, toughness, frankly, execution, energy, and defense. The Raptors are not winning games on offense. So let's just not lie to ourselves here. There are sizable portions of this season where Scotty Barnes has shot 20% from three. There are sizable portions of this season where RJ Barrett has been unplayable as a shooter. There's sizable portions of this season where Emmanuel Quickley has just been unable to initiate any offense whatsoever without picking up his dribble and turning the ball over. There's been copious events this season where I would argue the Raptors have been better without Ingram on the court. So it's not just a matter of like, okay, well, we don't have the right pieces. Not only do you not have the right pieces, you don't play the right pieces together. You play the wrong pieces far too long. You have the wrong substitution patterns. Like it was obvious that Scotty and Jameson Battle had something going. It was obvious that finally you had found something with Markelle and Sandro Mamukelashvili. And just as soon as it starts, it goes away. And whatever momentum you've built up just goes right out the window. It's not just on Darko Rajakovic. It's also on Bobby Webster for putting together this absolutely bullshit team. Now, again, there is a correlation causation argument that whenever a team is successful, surely everything was done correctly. But that's simply not the case. This is simply not the case. The Raptors are probably going to go, okay, look, the argument is the Raptors were a 30-win team last year, and they're going to be like a 43 to 45, 46-win team this year. And so we don't get to complain about it because that's a massive improvement. However, it's disingenuous to say the Raptors were a 30-win team last year because they actively lost games. That's like saying the Dallas Mavericks, the year they tanked for Derek Lively and then ended up in the finals next year, that they improved that much. No, man, they actively sat Kyrie, they sat Luka, they tried to lose basketball games, and they did. They successfully did. It's the same thing with Tim Duncan, the Tim Duncan draft, and David Robinson. No, Tim Duncan did not just launch the worst team in the NBA to the best team in the NBA in one season. That didn't happen. They actively sat their best players. The Raptors actively sat Scotty Barnes in key moments last year. They changed his role to be less optimized to winning. And this year, the fact that Scotty is more optimized to a role, he is more efficient from the field overall. The fact that he is dialed up defensively and he's trying to win basketball games, the fact that you added Ingram, I would argue you were probably a 40-win team last year. You probably should be a 50-win team this year with all the improvements you've made. Mamu wasn't here last year. Ingram wasn't here last year. Jacoby wasn't this good last year. We played a lot of G League players last year. Emmanuel Quickley barely played last year. So, I mean, all these things combined, Scotty Barnes, defensive evolution, Colin Murray-Boyles being a massive upgrade over guys we were playing last year, all these things should make the Raptors a 50-win team. The fact that you'll be a 47-win team to me is an underachievement. That's how I see it. But that's not how everyone else sees it. That's not the way the casuals see it. That's not to say Scotty is without his flaws. And it's not to say Scotty does not deserve blame for ending up with 9 points in this game. For sure. 9 points. I don't know what he had. 6, 7, 8 rebounds, 12 assists. A typical Ben Simmons type of performance, a typical Tyrese Halliburton type of performance. But so many times, Scotty's just sitting in the corner as RJ Barrett and Brandon Ingram play the most predictable brand of two-man basketball and drive into a double or triple team. Every turnover that Ingram had today was self-induced. These are not, oh, I couldn't have seen that coming. No, he's driving into doubles and triples and trying to take shots and getting stripped. Every shot that RJ took today, I would argue half of them were really bad shots. They were early shots. They were not his shots. They're shots that he's historically bad at. RJ Barrett's shot quality was just in the tank today. Jakob Poeltl was not a suitable start, in my opinion. You have a stretch big. You have a dynamic, shifty point guard, and you have Jakob Poeltl. This is a recipe for an absolute disaster. You should have started CMB today. If nothing, you should have started CMB today. You might have actually, you could have won this game. I'm sorry. With the way the Clippers played, I understand that after getting smoked like this, people don't take anyone seriously when you say you could have won this game. But when you actually see what went wrong in this game and you actually dissect who made the mistakes, where the areas were that needed improvement, what the matchups were that really caused the Raptors problems, this is 100% a game plan and coaching problem. 100%. This is a game plan and coaching problem. A better coach, this is, again, I don't want to be too hard on Darko, but a better coach with more balls would have won this game. And Darko lost this game by nearly 30. It's worth noting. It's all worth noting, man. It's all worth noting. What the man? I'm trying to be calm, yo. Wow. The Raptors get smoked. At no point was this game particularly close. You could make a case. The closest the Raptors probably ever got in a meaningful part of this game was 55-43, and proceeded to shit the bed right at the end of the second quarter. Darius Garland hits a huge, I think that was the end of the second quarter or end of the third quarter, where Darius Garland hit that absolutely, but no, it was the end of the half, where Darius Garland hits a logo three over Jacoby Walter and Jamal Shed as his dribble had been interrupted. I mean, you just throw your hands up to that. But the Raptors did show some fight. Towards the end of the second quarter, the Raptors absolutely showed some fight. They were on the verge of a 40-point blowout, and they showed some fight. But did they show fight? It was Scotty freaking Barnes, dude. It was Scotty running the breaks, Scotty switching out on defense, Scotty energetically picking up Kawhi, Scotty stripping Kawhi, putting so much pressure on their offense, disrupting everything. One man cannot do any more than this, okay? Like, when you're smart, you understand that some battles are not worth dying for. When you're smart, when you're young and enthusiastic and kind of stupid and idealistic, you fight for everything. When you're older, you realize that some battles are not going to be won. That maybe you spare yourself this battle to preserve yourself to win the war. I don't mean to sound like I'm Napoleon, here. And I'm just not trying to talk like an army general. But really, this is the point. There are certain games where it is untenable. You as one human being cannot do any more than this. You are guarding Kawhi. Nicholas Batum comes over and sets a screen. RJ Barrett is now switched on to Kawhi. Batum is too good of a three-point shooter. Kawhi is reasonable enough as a playmaker that if Scotty scrams and tries to double Kawhi, it will be an immediate switch. And Jakob Poeltl is 14 feet away and not mobile enough to switch out, which will eventually lead to a wide open three or a wide open layup for Brook Lopez. It's a cascading effect of once that switch is delivered, you have to trust. You have to trust RJ. But Scotty doesn't trust RJ because he's not stupid. So he'll continue to shade. He'll continue to sit. He'll continue to kind of like stunt at the dribble and just be like, okay, if he gets into his move, I'll do it. But then what does Kawhi do? He just goes right away from Batum. And now Scotty has to stay home on the shooter. And now what happens? Kawhi got one-on-one against RJ Barrett. Bucket, bucket, bucket. Every time, bucket. Foul, bucket. RJ Barrett was so abysmal tonight. I wish there was a 15 minutes. Like, I wish I could give myself that type of torture where I could just literally sit there and just like dissect every mistake RJ Barrett made tonight. If you're a basketball coach, out there, I know some of you guys are basketball coaches. Some of you are scouts. I know our audience is generally a lot smarter than the average bear. If you watched RJ Barrett tonight and came away to the conclusion that this is a person that you would like to re-sign, I need to check, who are you coaching? I need to talk to the kids that you're training, coaching, and just maybe let them know that the person that they are taking advice from and paying to coach them doesn't understand basketball. You cannot have floors like this. You can't. He was foul prone, like everything. Oh my God. Like, I mean, I lost my mind watching this game. I was about to throw my, I'll tell you right now, if I was a richer person, uh-oh, I forgot to put the call-in link. I definitely forgot to pull in the call-in link. My bad. Man, that sucks. Let me let me put the call-in link here. Brooke, maybe a little bit later, man. Um, yeah, I'm gonna put this here. I'm not gonna. No offense. It is late. It's 1:30. I'm gonna try to get through the film session. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you like my take on the game and what happened. And quite frankly, I'm gonna try not to keep this going too long. So any calls are gonna be limited to 5 minutes unless they are exceptional calls. This is pressure's on you, caller. If you wanna have more than a 5 minute conversation, you better bring something to the table. Okay, so let's take a look at this game. Brandon Ingram, 18 points on 18 shots, including 3 turnovers. Every single one of those turnovers was a headache. Um, totally, totally stupid dribbling into double teams and triple teams. Very lackluster playmaking. Don't look at assists. Don't look at assists. Only idiots look at assists. Don't look at assists. Consider who he missed when he passed to who he passed to. Consider who he passed to for the shots they got. Passing to RJ Barrett for a three is not necessarily great when Jacoby Walter is wide open right next to you, but you don't see him. That's costing your team points. RJ Barrett, again, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Some people are just going to gloss over this performance. This is single-handedly the worst single game performance I've seen all year from any Raptor, period. Any Raptor who's played meaningful minutes. And except for maybe Grady. Grady is the only other player who is even contending for this. There are plenty of 10, 12-minute stints with Grady where it's just like he is unplayable and I need him out of the rotation. However, there's no player that I can think of who's played 30-plus minutes other than injured Jakob who has been this bad. Just awful. Scotty Barnes, tough shooting night, 4 for 11, 1 for 2 from 3. The 1 3 he missed, by the way, I just want to throw it out there. It was a bailout. Like he had 4 seconds on the clock when he caught it. They ended up getting the offensive rebound, and he ended up making the right play to the corner to Jameson Battle. So I would consider that miss a positive play. But there were just some tough finishes around the basket where, he was looking for a foul. He didn't get the foul. But nevertheless, I don't think he played badly. I thought his defense was very commendable. I liked his defense, defensive effort, pressure. Overall, he's found himself in the right position a lot. I didn't love his defense in the first quarter. I didn't love his defense. Like there's a couple of, plays where I wish he contested, and I didn't love his defense in the fourth. But in the second quarter and third quarter, Scotty Barnes absolutely held it down defensively for this team. Jamal Shed, overall tough night. 4 assists, 8 points, 3 for 9 shooting. This is just, he got clamped. He got clamped multiple times by a notoriously bad defender in Darius Garland, but even Darius Garland is somewhat competent when you have Kawhi Leonard and Brook Lopez next to you, and Nicholas Batum's a really good defender. So you just have guys, man. Jakob Poeltl ends up cutting his face open at one point, ends up leaving the game, coming back in the second half. I was honestly devastated to see him. Not the greatest game from Jakob Poeltl at all. By no means. Defensively, he was very compromised on the switches. Just hopeless in a pick and roll against Darius Garland. Like when Darius Garland has Brook Lopez, you have to consider that tandem very dangerous because of Darius Garland's speed and shooting ability. This is a lights out 41% three-point shooter. You cannot give him a second of daylight. And that makes Jakob Poeltl a terrible big anytime you are facing a shooter of this caliber. If you're facing Peyton Pritchard, he's a bad coverage for that, right? So if you are going to face a lights out, lightning quick point guard, Jakob Poeltl cannot be on the court. Or Jakob Poeltl has to be in the corner guarding a non-shooter. If Darko wanted to make an adjustment, Darko probably should have put Scotty on Brook so that Scotty could be a little bit more, so Scotty could limit him because Brook Lopez absolutely destroyed the Raptors. And so Scotty could actually be the switch on that, and then maybe put Jakob Poeltl on, I don't know, Derek Jones Jr. And it's kind of funny because you have a point guard, right? You pay a point guard to run the offense, but the guy who runs the offense is Scotty Barnes. And you pay a center to guard centers, but the guy who guards centers is Scotty Barnes. That's the stupidest thing about this team, is that your best point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center are all Scotty Barnes. And yet, when you have two Scotty Barnes on the court, they really kind of get in each other's way. So the Raptors need to take a long, hard look in the mirror and ask themselves, how have other teams built around Scotty Barnes or a player like Scotty Barnes? And the answer is, it's not so easy to understand because you've never really seen a player like Scotty Barnes. He's not quite the point guard that Magic was. He's not quite the athlete or slasher or vertical pop guy that Pippen was. But you're going to have to go in that realm somewhere, and you're going to need to find dynamic, athletic creation on the wing, which means quickness. You need quickness and shooting, which is to say you need basically Emmanuel Quickley, but not with brain damage. You need Benedict Mathurin. You need Shaedon Sharpe. You need Anthony Edwards, like a better version of that. Like, not a better version of Anthony Edwards. Like, you need Jaylen Brown. Like, this is what you need next to a Scotty Barnes. This is the type of player that unlocks Scotty Barnes. You know the type of player that doesn't unlock Scotty Barnes? Slow grind dribblers who don't finish well in the paint and can't shoot, like RJ Barrett. Isolation heavy guys who cannot beat a pylon off the dribble like Brandon Ingram. This is not the greatest fit. Not at all. And you're going to need to reconcile that. And his teammates are going to have to learn to stop icing him out of offense, because every time they did, they lost this game. Every time. Every time it went to RJ and BI two-man, we got worse shots out of it. Every time it went to Scotty, we got faster offense. This team does not understand who their best player is, and it's very obvious. But you know what's crazy? They might not even know who their second best player is. And that's why I don't trust NBA players sometimes. Also, I'm going to give a shout out, like a very, very brief shout out. This is not going to be like an extended rant. I don't think Jack Armstrong, I don't think he understands basketball at all. I know he coached Niagara. I understand he's done this for 25 years, 30 years at this point. And I don't really mean to, I understand that it turns a lot of people away when I call out somebody who's in the media like this, especially someone who's generally affable and seemingly like harmless, like Jack Armstrong. I watched RJ Barrett blow what feels like the 500th transition opportunity in this game by throwing the ball past Jakob Poeltl when he was ahead of the play. And I will show you the play. And I didn't hear anything from Jack Armstrong. I listened intently. I try not to. Usually I like to keep the volume on mute because I don't like listening to Jack Armstrong. But I kept it on because I wanted to see if he would actually call it out. But he didn't. He didn't do that. Instead, what he did was, later on in the segment, he lumped Scotty and RJ together and he talked about their shooting struggles. You lumped your best player with your worst player tonight and criticized them together to avoid having to criticize your favorite. Now, if it's a Rogers gag order, if there's some sort of Rogers thing where we just don't criticize Canadians in Canada, let me know so I can stop coming at you. But there is an obvious preferential, I like this guy, so I'm going to talk about him one way. I don't like this guy, so I'm going to talk about him one way. I like Fred VanVleet, so I'm not going to call him selfish. I like Pascal Siakam and DeMar DeRozan, so I'm not going to call them out for being complainers and whining and not getting back on defense. I like these guys. I don't like Scotty Barnes, so I'm going to call him out for every missed shot, every turnover, every blown assignment, every low energy play. This is your basketball knowledge right here. And you know what? The media, which I have gone after multiple times, which I think has gotten better in Toronto, by the way, since, I've been going at their necks. They unfortunately guide the eyes. There's a million things that happen in every single basketball game. Cuts that are not rewarded, cuts that are rewarded, shots that are made, shots that are not made because of passes that were off or on. Intelligent, commentary on the game guides the audience's eyes into the right direction. When you refuse to criticize a player who is overtly destroying the offense, the audience does not pay attention to it. When you lump them in with a player who is actively creating the best offense on the entire team, even though he is technically struggling from the field, you're misguiding the audience. You're actually lying to the audience. I mean, I understand that objectively, under the rule of the law, if two players are combined 5 for 20, saying they're 5 for 20 is not a lie. But if one player is 2 for 5 and the other one is the one making up for the rest of the 5 for 20, like 3 for 15, and you know, it's a bit of a lie. It's a bit of a lie. So to act like the guy who is positively, you're watching the game, you're seeing it every single time Scotty comes onto the court, boom, there's a run. Scotty goes to the bench. The other team goes on a run. Scotty comes back. There's another run. Scotty goes to the bench. Defense falls off a cliff. I've never heard Jack complain about Brandon Ingram's shot selection. It's been awful all year. All year. I don't hear Jack talking about Emmanuel Quickly's tunnel vision. I don't hear Jack talking about RJ Barrett's terrible defense. But when RJ Barrett gets a steal, it's always great. It's not right. It's not right. It's biased and it's gross. Fuck your bias. Off the bench, I like this game from Sandro Mamukelashvili, man. And I really like the game from Jamison Battle. Colin Murray-Boyles was also good. Were it not for foul trouble, I think Jacoby Walter would have had a pretty good game as well. But unfortunately, he was very limited by that foul trouble, and he just couldn't get his shots. They didn't find him. He didn't find the net. It felt like for a little while, the Raptors just had it felt like there was a lid on the basket for this team for most of the night, which shows the fact that they shot 42% from the field. They shot 34% from three. They got to the line 11 times and shot 36% from the line. Scotty Barnes got to the line one time, not of his own doing. It was a technical free throw, and he missed it. RJ Barrett went 2 for 5. Jakob Poeltl went 0 for 2. Sandro went 0 for 1. Were it not for Jonathan Mobo late in the game going 2 for 2, he would have shot below 30% from the free throw line, which I don't think I've ever seen in my life. The Clippers, on the other hand, got to the line relentlessly. 19 for 24. That is a huge gap in this game. 46% from three. That is also a huge gap in this game. 51% from the field. Also a huge gap in this game. When you consider the free throw differential and you consider the 3-point differential and the efficiency differential, you almost have to ask yourself, how did the Raptors not lose by 55 points today? Because those numbers are daunting. To understand that, we have to look at the team stats. And the team stats would show you that the Raptors had more field goal attempts. But of course, that doesn't matter because they had more free throw attempts. The rebounding margin is how the Raptors even kept this remotely close. And that was 15 offensive rebounds, a lot of which happened on the exact same play multiple times. There was a couple sequences tonight where the Raptors miss a shot, get the offensive rebound, miss the shot, get the offensive rebound, miss. So it's almost like they stat padded. But that's also why your field goal percentage was so low, because your possessions were recycled. They had 56 points in the paint. The Raptors did, which is good. And a lot of that is thanks to Scotty Barnes finding guys for dunks and layups. They had 12 fast break points. This is one of the best transition teams in the league in terms of volume, not efficiency, not process, and not efficiency. They matched them even for even on turnovers, 11 for 11. This was not a heavy turnover thing. The Clippers had 12 blocks. 12 blocks. One of those blocks was on Scotty Barnes. I do recall Brook Lopez coming over. From the Clippers side, Brook Lopez had 5 blocks. Isaiah Jackson had 1 block. 2 blocks, sorry. Chris Dunn, Benedict Mathurin, and Nicholas Batum had 1 block apiece. Darius Garland had a block, which doesn't happen very often. And Kawhi had a block. They were active. They had 27 points from Kawhi, 24 points from Darius Garland, 23 points off the bench from Benedict Mathurin. That's a formula for a win if I've ever seen one. Let's take a look at some of the plays tonight. I mean, look, this is not going to be extensive. This is not going to be extensive because I don't want this to be extensive. This game was a chore and an absolute dread to watch the first time around, and I certainly don't need to subject my eyes to watching this twice. However, I do want to show you a particular Markelle Fultz possession that I really did like. Here, Markelle is dribbling into the paint. Now, what is this thing that the Raptors say very often? Paint to great. This is something that Vin Bavnani says a lot. Ivo Simovic says this a lot as well. We want to go paint to great. And Darko says this a lot. When you get into the paint, you collapse the defense. When you collapse the defense, typically, most rosters have open shooters. And here, the Raptors have one open shooter. They also have Brandon Ingram trailing in play. They have Colin Murray-Boyles, who potentially, if they give this maybe one more second, if Markelle is able to fake a shot, might be able to beat his man to the rim, cut behind the defense. But the obvious play, and the very obvious play here, is to Sandro Mamukelashvili. And I love that Markelle makes this shot, makes this pass, and I don't care that he missed. I just like the process of Markelle making that play. There was another play where he finds, here we go. It was a retreat dribble back to the basket, and he passes out to Brandon Ingram, who also proceeds to miss the shot. But nonetheless, I like that overall. Now, let's take a look at this play. Brandon Ingram cooking. Now, dribbles away from the double team. But why is the double team? Look at Markelle Fultz. Completely unguarded. Nobody near him, right? And this is the consequence of playing multiple non-shooters, especially non-shooters that you're not going to put the ball in their hands. The right formation here is that Ingram needs to stop being on the ball so often. He needs to be a play finisher. He cannot be a play initiator with this spacing. With Markelle on the court, Markelle is so much better at breaking his man off the dribble. We need to do dribble handoffs and run Markelle downhill so that Markelle is the guy with the basketball. Now, I understand that for an average person listening to me say, put the ball in Markelle's hands and let Ingram get out of the way, sounds insane. But actually, it's the best thing for the offense. Markelle is the better ball handler. He is definitely the better driver. He is also the better vertical athlete. He is way more dynamic. And by the way, he's also a much better playmaker. So putting the ball in Markelle's hands, even if it is going to result in Ingram slashing down the paint, Markelle is going to do a much better job of initiating this possession. But Ingram has it in his head that he is fucking Kobe Bryant. And so he's going to try, well, first you don't succeed, try again. They say the definition of insanity or stupidity is doing the same thing twice. Here you go twice. You want to play with fire. And this time, you're trying to beat a center off the dribble. I want to remind you, Isaiah Jackson is a center, and you can't beat the center off the dribble. And once again, you dribble right into the fucking trap. And this time, not so lucky, you get clamped and you turn it over. These are live ball turnovers. Live ball turnovers are the worst because they lead to transition opportunities for the other team and usually foul trouble. I do not like this game for Brandon Ingram. This is possibly the worst offensive possession I've seen all year, and I think we need to go into this deep. I hope I don't get a YouTube copyright, whatever, for this. I'm going to try to slow it down and just be really, really deliberate about how I play this out, but let's go step by step, and let's not let this play for any more than 2 seconds. Jamal Shed. Instead of passing to Sandro Mamukelashvili, who has a 6-foot point guard on him, he decides to pass to RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett, instead of passing over the defense to Sandro Mamukelashvili, decides to take a pull-up jump shot. Now, by divine miracle, the Raptors end up getting this ball back because Jamison Battle is hustling. He passes to Jamal Shed, who once again passes to fucking RJ Barrett. Sandro Mamukelashvili is wide open, and you decide, no, let's get it to RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett decides to not touch the rim. RJ Barrett had 2 air balls tonight. Ridiculous. But hey, you got the ball back again. You got it back again. Colin Murray-Boyles. Finally, somebody passes to Sandro Mamukelashvili. He misses 2. Oh my God, we got it back. We got it back. I can't believe it. We got it back. That's how you got all those offensive rebounds. Let's give it back to Jamal Shed, and let's pray to God he does not pass to RJ Barrett again. Jamal Shad's like, "No, RJ, you've had your turn. I'm not passing you anymore." But look at RJ. He's calling for it. He wants it, man. He thinks he's fucking Kobe too. We got a team full of nitwits who think they're all fucking Kobe Bryant. Every one of them. They all think they're Kobe Bryant. None of y'all are Kobe Bryant. You know why? Because Kobe Bryant can be the center off the dribble. Sheesh. Like, Colin Murray Boyles had the right idea here. He just loses the ball because he's not good at this. And that's not his game. But nevertheless, that is possibly one of the most frustrating. And at that point, I was just done with RJ Barrett. I said, breaking news, RJ Barrett has been waived mid-game. Pray to God I wake up tomorrow and that news is actually true. I said, Scotty Barnes told Kawhi Leonard to go plant some trees. You know who used to do that a lot? Kawhi Leonard. When Kawhi Leonard was in San Antonio. I like how Scotty will sometimes. There was that character in Mortal Kombat. Y'all remember that character? There was a character. I don't know if it was Noob Saibot or if it was Nightwolf. Or was it? No, it was Shang Tsung. My bad. It was. Was it Shang Tsung or Shao Kahn? There was a character who just used to turn into you and then beat your ass up as you. Y'all remember that? Like you'd be playing a Sub-Zero and they just turn into Sub-Zero and you'd be like, what the fuck? And then they freeze you and you're like, motherfucker, this is not nice. This is not nice. Shang Tsung. There we go. It was Shang Tsung. Thank you very much, Capturing Devices. Yes, it was Shang Tsung. So, first of all, if you're watching this later, let me know who your favorite Mortal Kombat character was. Mine was definitely, I used to really like playing with Smoke. I got like a lot of Mortal Kombats, dude. I don't know if I have, like maybe one day in one of the members' lives, I will share with you all the Mortal Kombat video games I have. I have an N64. I have Mortal Kombat on PlayStation. Like it's pretty cool. Anyways, that being said, haven't played in a while. No, it's not Liu Kang. Scorpion is Aura. That's good, man. You're saying your favorite character was Liu Kang. That's dope. Yeah, I used to like Liu Kang, man. Anyways, I said, okay, this play, there's a couple, okay, there was this Will Hardy quote, y'all remember? I don't know if y'all have seen it. Will Hardy had a lot to say about Scotty Barnes, and he basically said that we are in an era where a lot of people feel comfortable describing games they did not even watch. They have a commentary on a game they did not watch. We have ESPN talking heads who have made this completely normal, that you can go on extended rants about players you've never seen play a full game of live basketball. This guy sucks because he's shooting 3% from three. This guy's not a good offensive player. 50. Okay. I think I just got momentarily disconnected. Let me not dilly dally here. My bad. But this play requires a little bit of, let's call it introspection. So this is the missed. This is the missed 3 by Scotty Barnes. Results in an offensive rebound for Sandro Mamukelashvili. Scotty decides right away, I'm going to cut. I have an advantage here. Brook Lopez is behind me. Let me cut. Now, watch this processing in hyperspeed. Now, this is all happening in a matter of milliseconds. Now, the point of Will Hardy was basically that Scotty Barnes is really amazing and that coaches understand this, but maybe casual fans don't. And I want to show you something that coaches see that maybe casual fans don't see. And when I say casual fans, I don't mean offense by that. I enjoy jazz, but I'm a casual jazz observer. I don't study jazz, and so I'm casual. I like video games. I am not skilled at video games. I'm not great at video games. So I would consider myself a casual video game person. I've watched soccer for a lot of my life. I'm a very casual observer of soccer. I think that might actually be generous. Actually, that might be very generous. I don't think I know soccer at all. And I definitely don't know hockey. So I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing to just be casual in something and just to admit that you don't know everything that you're seeing. But that's why we do these shows, so that you can see what you're missing in real time. Right here, Kawhi Leonard is a very intelligent basketball player. He may not be the highest motor defender at this point, but his defensive instincts are very, very good. You notice this even when you watch Scottie Pippen later on in his career with the Portland Trail Blazers, that at least once or twice a game, he would get a steal or a charge when he had no business even getting there because he anticipated really well. That's the thing about great defenders. They are insanely good observers of space and patterns. And here, it looks like Scotty is going to barrel his ass to the rim. And most players in this situation would. They would think they had an open lane to the basket and they would try to get a dunk. And so Kawhi is going to put his body on the line here in a 20-point game, in a 19-point game, and try to draw a charge on Scotty Barnes. Watch what Scotty does. I'm going to slow this down a lot because I think you need to sometimes see how quickly Scotty Barnes is seeing things because he's seeing things faster than any of us are seeing things. Look at this hop hop to avoid the charge. Now, the pass is a little bit low, so I'll give him a C minus on the pass, an A plus on the processing speed, and 100% grade on avoiding that charge. Most players are not able to slow down their momentum fast enough to actually, Kawhi snuck up on him. And the idea that you are able to make that pass and dodge, I think is special. Once again, small things that Scotty Barnes does. Disrupting the rhythm here of the dribble, getting really physical with Kawhi, walling up, poking it away there, and just enough ball insecurity that Sandro Mamukelashvili is able to get the steal. Jamison Battle wisely hands it to Scotty Barnes. Scotty, in a moment's glance, touchdown, Jamal Shed. Perfect. This is why Scotty Barnes was +3 when his team was down by 20. This is why. Because this is how he exploits his team's advantages and disadvantages. The fact that Scotty does not look super juiced up to take over games should probably tell you just how Scotty feels about this team and what he thinks this team's upside is right now. I think there's an idealistic version, again, idealists, who think Scotty should go out and break his back on both ends to try and slug out wins. But I think there's a realist that could look at this game and say, if RJ Barrett is on the court and Jamison Battle is on the bench and Jacoby Walter is in foul trouble and Jakob Poeltl is hurt and Emmanuel Quickley is out and this other team is exploiting RJ Barrett on every single switch and I cannot be in two places at once, I think an intelligent person would say, live to fight another day. Because Scotty is far too often, I think, has had to learn when to do things. There's moments in every game where he has a moment where it's like 15 to 18 possessions where he'll just take over a game, offensively, defensively, whatever. He just takes over. That's what he does. But to do that 82 games or 80 games in a season for 38 minutes, 37 minutes a night is not possible. And far too many times, Scotty's entire career can be defined by stop and go. He'll get it going and then he'll get hurt. And then he has to build up momentum all over again. So I, for one, am not pushing for Scotty to go out and play balls to the wall 36 minutes a night to try and get us closer. The Raptors were not going to win this game. I think it is quite obvious based on the lineups they put out there, they were not going to win this game. Now, I said, bro, pay for my therapy bills. This is an unforgivable play by RJ Barrett. The only point guard on our team that does not overpass to RJ Barrett is Markelle Fultz. And that is why Markelle Fultz is my favorite point guard on this team. Okay. So first I need to understand Scotty and RJ ending up occupying the same place. Where do you want Scotty to go here? Once again, that is Darius Garland. That is Jakob Poeltl. One of those players is 6 feet tall. The other player is 7 feet tall. There is a very obvious place to put this basketball, and that is directly at the rim. Basically, just lob it up, not an alley-oop, but you just kind of float it up at the rim, and Jakob Poeltl will get it. But that's not what RJ Barrett decides to do. RJ Barrett decides, hey, ref, you take it. RJ Barrett lobbed this ball possibly 16 feet into the air. Why? Look at the score. It's a 14-point game. After this possession, it became a 16-point game. Now, Markelle Fultz comes into the game. The Raptors pulled up I think they got down by 20, then they pull it back a little bit. So now it's a 16-point game. Here, Jakob Poeltl has once again. Why? Why? What? You're a 7-footer. That is Chris Dunn. What is your aversion to contact? Just go up. It's a fucking layup. But no, Jakob Poeltl doesn't want to do that because Chris Dunn is so big and bad and mighty that Mr. 7-footer has decided to pick up his dribble and look for the pass out. You let a 6'1", 6'2" guard stop you from a layup? What? And now you're not even asking for it back. You're just happy to let Brandon Ingram launch a fucking shot over Nicholas Batum. But no, Brandon Ingram gets. Okay, now this is perfect. I do think that Brandon Ingram needs to do more of this and less of what he's been doing. Here, he does a very good job of attracting 3 shirts and making the pass out. Now, this is nearly a turnover. If Darius Garland was Derek White or Jalen Suggs, this is a turnover. Now, look at Markelle Fultz here. Markelle Fultz is going to get a little bit of attention. And the second he gets that attention, he skips past Jacoby and passes to the most open guy who had just hit his last shot, which is Sandro Mamukelashvili. This was back-to-back possessions where Markelle looked for his shooter, and he found a shooter, and the shooter made the shot this time. I really like Markelle Fultz. I cannot tell you how pissed off I am that he's not going to be able to play in the playoffs. I really like Markelle Fultz. I don't know what else to tell you. If you understand basketball, you would probably like Markelle Fultz too. He has a great verve and rhythm to his dribble, and he understands how to play basketball. He is not a good jump shooter, but so what? So what? Your whole damn team is not good jump shooters. Get him some good jump shooters. You know what I was screaming at my fucking TV today? Get Markelle Fultz some help. That's what I was screaming. Get Markelle Fultz some help. Jesus. Okay. Now, in the spirit of Will Hardy and needing to get casual observers to focus on Scotty Barnes, I want to show you a pretty blurry example of what makes Scotty so great. All of this is going to happen in 4 seconds. I've slowed it down to about 20% speed so we can really get all the motions because this is hard to do in real time. So I'm going to slow this down so our mortal eyes can see. Whoops. Let me take the music off there. Okay. This is Scotty disrupting the pass using all 7'4" of his wingspan. And this is why sometimes Scotty is such a great matchup for point guards because they really can't see past him. This is Scotty stealing this basketball and tipping it with his fingers. This is Jamal Shed receiving that basketball and tipping it back to Scotty. All of these decisions from the tip to the tip back were made in less than 1 second. We are at exactly 1.5 seconds now. Now we are at about 2 seconds. Now we are at about 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds. And this is right at the tail end of 4 seconds. All of this happens in 4 seconds. Right here. So we are from this right here, the tip to the pass back to this pass forward, perfectly on target, away from the defense, falls right into Jacoby's hands, finds him in rhythm. He doesn't need to break stride to make this. All of that happened in 3 seconds. If you want to understand what makes Scotty Barnes special, that's what makes Scotty Barnes special. Because there's maybe 4 players in this entire league who could have made that entire sequence happen. And most of them could not have done it that accurately. I'll go as far as to say, from the defensive end to the offensive end, there might be 2 players in the league that could have made that happen. Him and Jokic. That's it. It's special. It's really special. And this is the type of player that you need to put better players around, because the second he gets better players, you're going to launch, you are going to vault into championship contention if you get better players around this guy. If you put great shooters, good creators, competent defenders around this guy, if you put a team of like, let's just say Scotty Barnes was in place of OG Anunoby in New York, and he had Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, Bridges, he had Miles McBride, he had those guys. I would pick the Knicks to win the championship. The gap between OG and Scotty is that I would pick the Knicks to win a championship. Right now, I don't think they're going to make it out of the first round. That's the gap. It's a huge gap. Okay. Here's some tunnel vision for you. Here, RJ is moving in because he is being guided by Ingram to cut through. Now, why does Ingram want him to cut through? Ideally, because Ingram incorrectly assumes that RJ cutting through is going to move Kawhi Leonard out of the way. Now, is Kawhi Leonard going to follow RJ Barrett is a better question. Nope. He doesn't fucking care. And that's where we talk about high-level basketball IQ, mid-level basketball IQ, and low-level basketball IQ. And every single thing that is done on a basketball court can be itemized or put into one of those three buckets. This is a low basketball IQ play. This is also something that exposes a very big flaw in Brandon Ingram's game, which is he does not actually have the burst to even beat Brook Lopez off the dribble clean. So to all the people who often say Scotty Barnes can't beat his man off the dribble, Brandon Ingram can't beat his man off the dribble either. That's a big problem. You need someone who can beat their man clean off the dribble, clean drives. Emmanuel Quickley can't do it. He can't do it. Do you understand why I was petitioning for Kyrie Irving? Because Kyrie Irving would put Brook Lopez in the hospital on a switch. He would be falling over his feet trying to stay in front of Kyrie. Darius Garland, who was available, would put Brook Lopez on skates and have him falling over his feet. But not Brandon Ingram, not RJ Barrett, not Scotty Barnes. You need a dynamic playmaker. You desperately need a player who can dribble off. You know who you have right now that can do it, though? Markelle freaking Fultz. Markelle could absolutely beat one of these bigs off the dribble. Markelle could probably put Kawhi Leonard into some trouble off the dribble. You don't have that skill set. So here, Brandon Ingram has the bright idea that instead of trying to launch this contested shot over Brook Lopez, I have three options here. I can't pass to Scotty Barnes because he's covered. I can either pass to RJ Barrett, I can pass to Colin Murray-Boyles, or if I have really keen awareness, I might be able to find Jacoby Walter. I think the worst option here is probably RJ Barrett, given how he's shooting. Now, why Kawhi decides to close out like this is truly beyond me. It's undisciplined, and quite frankly, Kawhi Leonard deserves L's across the board for this. But maybe Kawhi did this because there's nothing to lose. Because he knows, just like I knew the second that RJ Barrett started this dribble, that there's no way in hell he's going to score on Brook Lopez and Chris Dunn in the paint. And just like that, what could have been a Jacoby Walter 3 turns into another RJ Barrett miss. It is truly confounding. Okay. Now, when I said earlier, what do you want Scotty Barnes to do? This is what I mean. What do you want Scotty Barnes to do in this situation? Scotty is doing a good job of containing the dribble. And Scotty is an excellent matchup for Kawhi Leonard, provided this doesn't happen. Now, Scotty allows himself to get switched off. That's on him. But the fact that this is not Jacoby Walter or CMB out here, that's on Darko. Now, in this scenario, I would probably have RJ guarding Chris Dunn. I wouldn't have him guarding Ben Mathurin, and I certainly would never have him on Darius Garland. Far too many times tonight, RJ Barrett found himself guarding players that he has no business ever guarding on a night where he was arguably like the worst moral Browser saying he surrenders the switch. This is definitely on Scotty. I mean, you could argue it's on both, but okay, sure. Let's talk about this. Should Scotty get over this? Yes. Do you know what would happen if Scotty did get over this? Does anyone want to take a guess what would happen if Scotty Barnes manages to get over this screen from Benedict Mathurin? Moral Browser. Since you seem to know a lot about the subject, and I'm not coming at you directly, I appreciate you're here. Do you want to discuss this play? I will give you a call-in link. Let's break this play down. Let's you and I break this play down, or somebody want to call in and break this play down. Because I can tell you with 98% certainty what will happen if Scotty Barnes decides to fight over the screen. Molly saying, yes, Scotty shouldn't have surrendered the screen. The switch, Clippers are hunting RJ all night. Well, Molly, you are a basketball observer and, someone who follows this game very deeply. So I'll give you my perspective on this in terms of why I think Scotty is in a no-win situation here, and maybe just try to understand this from my perspective. I'm not saying my perspective is necessarily right. I certainly think it's right. If I didn't think it was right, I wouldn't say it. If Scotty Barnes fights over the screen, one of a few things can happen. One, it's possible that Ben Mathurin flops. It's possible, right? It's possible. The second thing that probably will happen, and most certainly would happen, and the most likely outcome, is that Ben Mathurin is now wide open to dart to the basket, forcing a massive collapse that RJ Barrett is not capable of or willing to contest. Sometimes teams prefer to switch. That's part of the scheme. Now you're going to watch Scotty Barnes here. He's going to be keenly aware of Kawhi. Exactly this. There is a very good chance that that happens. And if you want to go back through the last 20 games, I'll guarantee you there's 15 times that it has happened. So Scotty's not a dumbass. Like, he's not lazy. Scotty will fight over a screen when it is a dire straight situation, i.e., you have to understand the calculus here. If this is Chris Dunn and not Ben Mathurin, I'm pretty sure he will fight over the screen. We've seen Scotty fight over screens. He's much better at it this year than he has been in previous years. But when that other player that's setting the screen is also lethal as a shooter and as a cutter, look at Ben Mathurin right now. He's thinking exactly this. He's thinking, let me gut. There you go. There's Ben Mathurin. See? That's my point. If Scotty fights over that screen, that cut happens sooner and nobody is recovering. Now, if you have Rudy Gobert or Victor Wembanyama back there, it changes the equation completely. If that's not Ben Mathurin, if that's Nicholas Batum, a slow driver who's more like a set shooter at this point, it changes the equation. But the minute you involve two good offensive players in a pick and roll or a switch situation, it is lights out for the defense in most situations. And I think Scotty does a pretty decent job of cutting off Kawhi's passing angle to Ben. You can see, like, he's so aware. Like, it's actually kind of funny that in a position where a lot of people want to criticize Scotty for giving up this switch, look at what a good job he does in terms of taking away the angles. He even recovers back to Ben Mathurin momentarily, and it's just, he has that awareness. But here, RJ Barrett, this ain't good enough, bro. That's Kawhi Leonard. So let's look at RJ Barrett's defensive technique here for a moment. You're already fucked. You're so fucked. Like, if I'm a coach and I'm watching this right now, you are so fucked you don't even know it yet. Kawhi is an assassin. Raptor fans should know this better than anybody. You cannot guard Kawhi like this. What kind of defensive technique is this? He's already into his shot and you don't even have a hand up? You need to, my God, man. Like, you want to go back to when Scotty was guarding Kawhi and just see the difference. And again, please understand, I am not going to compare Scotty Barnes to RJ fucking Barrett defensively. Like, that's just stupid. But take a look at the difference in how Scotty guards this contact, immediate contact. There's like a touch. There's activity. Kawhi's not the greatest ball handler. He's not the most dynamic ball handler. You can't just be like floating. Like, what is this levitation defense? You just kumbaya yoga defense? What is this bullshit? No, you can't play defense like this in Kawhi Leonard. He has a huge advantage on you. He's stronger than you. If you're RJ Barrett, he's stronger than you, he's taller than you, and he's got like a longer reach than you. You cannot be reactive to him. This is the same thing with guarding Kevin Durant. Look, man, there's no actual defense to guard Kawhi Leonard. You can only make the shot hard. That was an easy shot. You cannot give him easy shots. You can play perfect defense on Kawhi and he can still have 30. That's the great thing about superstars, is they can do that. But to give him something this easy feels criminal. Just not right. So overall, this was a very disappointing game. From effort to execution. If you want to say fire Darko, you got it, man. But if you think Darko is the only problem, he's not. The personnel is a problem. The fit between these players is a problem. Significant roster limitations are a massive problem. It's not good, man. It's not good. NY4 Raps, FA, what's up, man? How you doing? Or FA's, oh my God, FA's brother. How are you doing? Paul. I haven't seen you in a while, man. That's exactly it. The rotations are rough. I agree with you. The rotations are very rough. Now, I have some good news for you to end this live. Not to end this live. We do have a couple of super chats. Let me just read them out here. I have some good news for y'all. Hang tight for a minute. I'm going to give you all some good news. Trade RJ Ingram and fire Darko by next season. I don't care anymore. Can't be watching Scotty's time get wasted with his bullshit teammates and dumbass coach. I don't think the coach is a dumbass. I think the coach is stubborn as fuck. It's frustrating as hell. I will agree. I'll concede. Like, JB Bickerstaff would not put up with this shit for a second. As it pertains to trading Ingram and RJ, I think sometimes, how do I put this? Putting together a roster is a little bit like baking a cake. Sometimes you have a little bit too much sugar. Sometimes you have a little bit too much flour. Sometimes you have a little bit too much water. Sometimes you have too many eggs. And in order to make it work properly, right, you need to have the right ingredients in the right quantity. The Raptors have significant gaps in their roster. And of course, there are ways to paper over it and be better, whatever. But no rational person would put CMB and Scotty in the same lineup, right? There's redundancies. There's super redundancies there. But if you do put two players with redundancies together, then you need to put three players with them that offset the redundancies. That's why you have players like OG Anunoby who get paid so much money, or guys like Desmond Bane, because they really don't get in anyone's way. They can dribble, pass, shoot. They can play good defense. Those are extremely portable players. The Raptors do not have very portable players. RJ is not a portable player. Ingram is not a portable player. Mamu is a fairly portable player, but some people don't like him. But I think genuinely, I think that the Raptors have an issue of like player archetypes missing on this roster and too many redundancies not being properly considered. Omer Sadiq 90 said, man, Brook Lopez was cooking Jakob Poeltl. Well, Jakob Poeltl is a horrible matchup for Brook Lopez. And you know what's funny? Jakob Poeltl was also a horrible matchup for Nikola Jokic. Why is Scotty Barnes guarding Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid when you have paid Jakob Poeltl close to $100 million to play defense on centers? I was told for years and years, we need Jakob Poeltl because we have a center and we don't want Scotty playing center. But now your only hope of winning ever is to play Scotty at center. But also your only hope of ever winning a basketball game is playing Scotty at point. But you also need Scotty to guard wings. It's wild to me that this media space has not caught on to the fact that Scotty Barnes needs help. Scotty Barnes absolutely needs help. And Scotty is just like another ingredient in that cake. He is a very important ingredient in that cake, but he is an ingredient nonetheless. And at this point, I think it is worth saying that Scotty does not have the right ingredients to make good offense with this team. But it's worth noting that I think this would surprise people. Do you know that the Raptors offense is better with Scotty Barnes on the court? Did you know that? I mean, you would think, based on how people talk about the guy, that he's just like some horrible offensive player who can't score, can't shoot, can't do anything. But did you know that the Raptors offense is actually significantly better with Scotty Barnes on the court? Did you know their defense is also significantly better with Scotty Barnes on the court? In fact, a quick look at Data Baller here would tell you that the Raptors offense, and overall, I think this number is going to go to about 7.4. 7.4 points per 100 possessions better after tonight's game on the season. Their defense is better and their offense is better. This is why I think that people need to really reevaluate how good a player Scotty Barnes actually is and how much better he would look next to actually good players. There are certain players like James Harden, LeBron James, whatever, where the better Luka, where the better their teammates, the better they'll look. The worse their teammates, the worse they look. And unlike and Scotty's kind of like a lower end version of that. If I don't want to be rude, but I have to be honest, like he's not LeBron James. Where he can't really single-handedly just grind his way to 25 points regardless of the situation around him. But it is worth noting, man, Scotty's best offensive stretch as a basketball player came 2 years ago, and he was playing next to Dennis Schroeder, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, and Gary Trent. That was the lineup. You know what that lineup has? That lineup has creation and shooting all around him. I think it was Jakob Poeltl as well. Jakob was the only non-shooter on the entire court. RJ Barrett has complicated everything for Scotty Barnes offensively. The two have very poor synergy, in my opinion. And, you know, you can sort of see it like together on the court. They are plus 7.1. But I still feel like when you combine Ingram into the mix, it just gets really bad. And again, it's like they're marginally winning minutes with him. Marginally. But the offense, by the way, for Ingram without Barnes is at a 112.3 offensive rating. That is truly bad. Okay. Now the good news. I promise good news. I have good news. I come bearing good news. 2 very special guests will be joining Pensare Basketball very soon. One of them tomorrow, which you'll be very happy, is to talk about the draft. One of them over the next week. I will be having Jacoby's trainer come on. Shout outs to Eric. And we're going to talk about Jacoby. And we're going to talk about his other client, Cason Wallace. And we're going to talk about what makes these guys so special. And I'm very excited to have that conversation. I already sent them the question list. We're going to see what happens with that. I would prefer to do it live because I really don't want to be sitting there editing a video that's going to get 2,000, 3,000 views. But I would love to have a really deep conversation with Eric about this. Eric's really good dude. He's a friend. He's a friend of mine, actually, at this point. We chit-chat a lot. We talk shop a lot on basketball. We talk about Jacoby. We talk about Cason. We talk about, you know, his son. And Eric's just a really great dude. Like a really great dude. Like I know from the second I talk to somebody if they're really a good person, and B, if they know what they're talking about when it comes to their craft, and C, if they love what they're doing. Eric not only understands athletic training, but he is also deeply he's a really good basketball mind. John D. No. Oh, as it pertains to the draft, Ersin Demir will be on tomorrow. We've scheduled this for, I believe, 3 p.m. So right after the panel, I'll be on the panel. So if you want to, I don't know, if you're someone who works from home and you want to listen to, you know, me on the panel. Apparently, I had a really good episode on Tuesday. I have no idea. I walked away thinking that was one of the most frustrating episodes of my life. But everyone's like, "Oh my God, Penn without the hat is 09 LeBron. Penn is masked LeBron 18." It's so funny. Someone said I was 07 LeBron, then someone said I was 19 LeBron, someone said I was 20 LeBron, and someone said I was 2018 LeBron. I was like, yo, dude, what do I got to do to be 2016 LeBron? Ersin Demir, yeah. So Ersin, obviously, y'all know Ersin lives in Europe, so Ersin cannot be doing, 7 p.m. lives. Like that would be midnight, past midnight for him. So we prefer to do it in the afternoon. So that's where we're gonna do it. We're gonna talk about everything, man. We're gonna talk about the drafts. We're gonna talk about March Madness. We're gonna talk about the draft last year. We're gonna talk about rookies. We're gonna talk about all that stuff. So it's gonna be really, really cool. I hope you guys will be here for it. Again, tentatively, it is scheduled for tomorrow, so I'm very excited about that. Uh, Hang on one second. I actually want to give a shout out to a channel. So, also something really cool happened today. Can I tell y'all something really cool that happened today? Can I give y'all my can I give y'all like my big news today? I don't even know if I should share this publicly. I feel like this is so tacky to share this shit. Prefer not to. How do I put this? Okay. One of my favorite actors um, saw my post today. One of my favorite actors in the whole world saw a post that we had on PENSARE Basketball. Sorry, on Penn Dance Film Festival IG, and they sent the post to one of my other favorite actors, who reached out and actually said, talk to us for a bit. And I was just like, it's really cool. I'm not a celebrity person. Like, again, I've met NBA players. I know a few, not a lot, but I know a few. The Rock. Are you crazy? I said one of my favorite actors, dude, not one of my favorite wrestlers. No, like legitimately, I have talked about this guy a lot. And he's one of my favorite actors in the whole fucking world right now. I was just literally watching his movie last night. And to see this shit happen today, I was just like, oh my God. No, not even close. Nope. No. Y'all really not following the content, man. I'm gonna say this. You very close. Mhm. So, point being, that was really cool for me. I was just like really touched in general. Um, what movie was I watching? You really want to make it that easy? I was watching Creed 3. So, my point is that was very cool. And I want to give a shout out to a content creator that I think y'all gonna really like. I mean, you might like him. You might not like him. You might find him very terrible, but I think he's amazing. So this is a content creator that I have been watching nonstop. His name is FD Signifier. I think this is the most important channel on YouTube. I'm gonna be honest. I think he's probably the best content creator I've ever seen in my life. I'm surprised that he only has 1.18 million subscribers. He should probably have 50 million subscribers. He's amazing. Like, I I grew up around black people my whole life. I thought I knew. I thought I understood black people completely. And then I watched this channel for like the last 4 months, and then I'm just like, motherfucker, I found this channel when I wish I found this channel when I was 6 years old, 7 years old. I wish this channel existed when I was 6 years old. It could have helped me understand so much about the world that I live in and perspectives that are not mine that I own, that I can never own. FD Signifier is an amazing content creator. He has 3-4 hour incredible video essays that are polished and put together. They're deeply insightful, researched. He has guests on that are amazing. So if you are ever somebody who is looking to get away from the politics of black culture and get to the actual reality of the researched reality, the lived reality, um, a deeper perspective on the reality. If you want to think about black art differently, if you want to think about black music, black culture, incarceration, governments, you want to talk about athletes, history, facts, facts. Oh, he goes hard at, like liberal pandering and all that shit. Like he's amazing. And what I really appreciate about him is regardless of how unpopular what he has to say is, he always keeps it 100, and he'll give you his biases, and he'll tell you like, this is how I felt about this and that. I mean, I love Sinners. Apparently, he didn't love Sinners as much as I love Sinners, but I'm still willing to listen to an hour and a half about, what he's talking about because it gave me a really good idea of what Ryan Coogler is up against. So, anyways, I just wanted to say if you're looking for a channel to, learn a little bit more about the world from a perspective you've probably never heard before, maybe not even a perspective you even thought about before, I think FD Signifier is the best YouTube creator that I've ever come across in my life. It's him and it's Nerdwriter1. Like those two are my two favorites all time. Nah, there's a couple more. Like Stories of Old is amazing too if you really like films and cinema. There's a few, man. Like again, I'm new in this game. I'm still trying to become the best that I can be, but it's really amazing when I find content creators like this that make me dream of like what is possible. So that's one thing that I really wanted to shout out. Anyways, we got Brooke Johans calling in. We're gonna talk for 5 minutes and we're gonna call it a day. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man? I like the cut, by the way. You look fire.
Thank you.
Nice look.
Appreciate it.
Nah, man. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to intro you talking about obviously the film, but the Raptors though. Just a tough loss. Just roster construction. Honestly, like what you just said near the end, I was actually gonna address it about how like I feel like personally, RJ Barrett has kind of like halted Scotty Barnes' offense development just because the trajectory that he was on. It was like remember 2 years ago. I feel like that was his best shooting season, right? He shot high volume on threes, and even guys like OG Anunoby, who's a better player than RJ Barrett, was just deferring to Scotty, right? And I
Mhm,
just feel like ever since we made that trade, like the fit is clunky.
mhm,
I don't. This jumper has it's gone away, and I just think like again like the roster building has like again it goes back to Bobby like not getting a dynamic guard, right? Not getting a guard like Tyrese Maxey, who you probably could have got at the 2020 trade deadline when Philly wanted Kyle Lowry, right? I look
maybe,
back at that.
maybe.
Dra- really, I'm telling you. And Desmond Bain, right? Maybe not drafting Malachi Flynn, drafting Desmond Bain would have been a good pick. It's like so many things like the Raptors I felt like just fumbled on that led to this to led to where we are right now. And it's super frustrating. And then you like I've never seen a record of two teams be so wrong. Like we're 8 games better than the Clippers, but in reality, they're like 10 games better than us. And I just look at the Clippers trade deadline and how well they didn't plan to trade James Harden. That was something that came out of the blue. James Harden was trade out of nowhere, and how they recovered so beautifully, getting Darius Garland, Bennington Mathurin, even Isaiah Jackson, and getting a top potentially pick 5 through 9 in a deep
Mhm,
draft class. When you look what we got for Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby, and at that time we're like the two most wanted guys at the trade deadline, it's like laughable compared what the Clippers did in this year's trade deadline. And look at where the roster is now; it's just so much better. And it's just like I just like compare the Raptors front office to like other teams front office. How like what happened? Like this was such a prestige front office. This was a front office that we looked at like one of the best in the league, and it's just gone downhill after downhill. Not trading for young players like a Tyrese Maxey, fumbling on draft picks, just like year after year, and like not getting shooting. Like I don't understand how you watch the league today and it's so depending on 3 point shooting, and you're like the only team that who doesn't draft or trade for 3 point shooting. It's just you know what I'm saying. It's very tough. It's just very hard to watch. Like yes, the Raptors are good. I'm excited, but like something in me honestly would rather want them to tank this year and get a dynamic guard who puts us in a better position in the near future. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
Well, maybe we get Bennett starts. Who knows? He's
yeah,
pretty he's
honestly,
pretty
I really
dynamic.
hope he is. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Austin Reeves when he was in college. Don't you? Do you think a little bit?
Not really. They're just both white.
He's got some shit to his game. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, I just wanted to say that. Also, I have one question. Do you think what's it called? Fuck, I forgot my question. I'm not gonna lie. I had a question, but I honestly forgot it. But it's okay. Anyway, And I just want to say that, speak my mind. It's like just such a frustrating stretch. I feel like every good team we face is like we always end up losing. It's just I don't know. It's just we have good defenders who can't shoot and good shooters who can defend. Like it's just it's not a well balanced roster, and I don't know where the Raptors could go to like reconstruct. Like I just don't know where they go from here.
Mm, yeah, I hear that. Um,
Uh,
anyways, Ben, thanks a lot for calling. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it, man.
I want to actually read this out to someone because to y'all because some of you are men. I know our channel analytics. Okay, some of you guys are men. Some of you are young men. And one of the things about getting a little bit older as a man is you want to share what you've learned with younger people. You want to share. So let me share something with you that I learned. Don't chase status. Don't chase baddies. Don't do it. Now, when I was younger, I remember that I used to really, really want to earn the respect of my peers. Something that I learned um, listening to FD Signifier was that a lot of young black men, they will go into sports because that is seen as a high status position within their community. Oh, that's the hooper, that's the football player. I realized that a lot of us in general will go towards the thing that earns us the most respect from our peers. And in fairness, I think being seen as with that girl that everyone wants to be with, it earns you status. So you learn to sort of seek validation for your dating and relationship choices from your peers. You want to post the picture of, that little thing that Facebook does in a relationship with so and so. You want the social approval of that, which is why I think people are deliberately very vain, or not even deliberately, subconsciously very vain in their dating choices. They'll choose the successful man, and the successful man will typically choose the attractive woman. But what if the successful man and the attractive woman aren't necessarily the greatest, bedfellows? Maybe the successful woman and the slightly overweight guy who plays video games all day are the perfect match. But she doesn't want to date him and he doesn't know how to date her. And so it just becomes this entire transactional bullshit. I want to share something with you because I've been with a lot of very attractive women in my life. I would say this, and if you know me in real life, you know that that is the case. It has always shocked my friends. They're just like, "You're not that good looking. How are you with her?" And it's always made me feel very happy when people said that. You know what I mean? Like, because I mean, I don't fancy myself as some sort of male model or like some, I'm not 6'5". I'm not built like, The Rock or something. I could never even explain to you why I've always dated so many attractive women. But I think one of the reasons I dated a lot of attractive women is because I didn't really look too much at unattractive women, or at least conventionally unattractive women. I think I'm wrong. And I want to say that very honestly. I'm wrong. As I reflect back on my life, especially now, and I meet married couples that have actually, prospered, and I realize how much more importance I should have placed on the mind of my partner. How much more importance I should have perhaps put on the compatibility of values. How much more importance I should have put on not whether or not she was European and so, our kids would both, speak similar languages, or that she was Christian so that both our kids were Christian, but rather how much more I should have put on the values that we actually shared together. Like what are our family values? What are our values on truth? What are our values on politics? What are our values on things? I'm not saying what are our politics, but really what are our values? And values are part of politics, and religion is a part of values. But Tetrahedron said, apparently the number one sign that your partner is no good for you is if they're dismissive. Apparently that's worse than anything. Well, I have no idea if that's worse than anything, but I do want to read this out. I said, without peace and respect, love is meaningless. I ain't a manosphere blogger, but trust me when I say the following. If she turned your alarm off and asked why you always sleep in, if she lit a fire in your kitchen and asked why everything always smells burnt, If she destroyed your peace and then wondered why you fell off. If she ran your mind off a cliff and then asked why you don't make more money. If she broke every single promise and asked you why you have trust issues. You don't have a girlfriend. You don't have a wife. You don't have a partner. You have an enemy. Shout out to the women who love deeply, empathize completely, and have pure souls. I'm sorry y'all get looked over for vapid IG baddies and OnlyFans thoughts. You'll never understand the value of a good woman until you see the other side of this coin and sit in that hell for a few years. And I promise you, the decision to be with one person over another person is the biggest decision you're going to make in your life. You can spend every single day or every other day with that person. You sleep in the same bed as that person. Whatever they believe, whatever they think, whatever they feel, you're going to absorb all of it. So it's very important to find people with clean energy. It's very important to find people with a good spirit, a good soul, good values. These things, man, it's not worth the momentary approval of all your homies being like, oh my God, I can't believe he pulled her. This is not a fucking trading card, dude. If you want social status, go get a nice car. But the woman that you choose to spend the rest of your life with, the woman that you spend any time with, is going to pour into you, dude. To my young homies, if you've ever heard anything I'm saying, trust me when I say this. A good heart, warm eyes, a kind soul ages better than her BBL, and the momentary status shift of quote unquote locking down a 10. Fuck the money, forget status, forget the size, ignore race, height, seriously, all of it. If she makes your soul feel good, if she keeps your body safe, and this is very important. Another thing that I think I've absorbed a lot from FD Signifier is just how much male bodies can also be objectified, right? If she keeps your body safe, if she pushes your mind in the right direction, that's the woman you need to propose to. And if you find that woman, don't let me find out that you let her go because she put on 10 pounds. Don't do it. So, all of this to say, you got to find the right person, man. And the right person ain't what TikTok and IG and social media algorithms are telling you is. The right person is like, it's a personal decision. It's not a social decision. Good for you. This is a good idea. Marry someone who's your friend. If you could see yourself living without her, let her go. If your life could go on without her, if your life is just fine, if she there, she not there, your life's cool, let her go. You're wasting her time. You're wasting your time. And you know what's crazy? It's a lot like the example of baking a cake. She might be terrible for you, but she might be the perfect person for somebody else. You are taking somebody else's perfect 10 out of 10 fit and making it a 4 out of 10 fit for you. It's selfish. So I wonder if, y'all are already wise enough to know all this, because I know our community is generally speaking pretty wise. But I figured I would say this just because I think that it's a realization I've come to over the last 4 or 5 years. I used to, again, like I think I've looked at looks a little too much, just way too much. It's always been like an immediate disqualifier for me. How would we look together on a red carpet if I ever won an Oscar? Stupid shit like that. Dude, no, this was dumb. And you know what? If you think like that, I'm going to tell you right now, you need therapy. Number one, probably. Number two, you're probably insecure, because nobody who's secure needs to lock down a 10. I would argue nobody who's secure needs to drive a Lamborghini either. But I mean, power to you. If you got $1 billion, go nuts. I think so many things in life are born out of our desire for approval and acceptance. And I think you can drive yourself absolutely crazy trying to do that. Also, I want to say that I watched Project Hail Mary yesterday in theaters with my girlfriend, and I absolutely hated it. I understand that some people are loving on this film. They're saying it's the best sci-fi ever. I disagree completely. I don't think it's great sci-fi. I think it's cheesy. I think it's Disney level, MCU level bullshit. If you're someone who likes Marvel films, you should probably go check out Project Hail Mary. But if you're not someone who likes MCU films, you probably won't like it. It's very on the nose. It's very preachy. I think it's kind of bullshit, personally. It's very long. It's very stupid. There's a lot of sci-fi films that I would suggest to you. Ad Astra is one of my favorites. Some people consider it pretentious and a little bit monotonous. I love it. But if not Ad Astra, I Am Mother is awesome. Gattaca is great. 2001: A Space Odyssey never hurt anybody, other than, well, I mean, it hurt a lot of people at the time, but it's a great film. There's a lot of great sci-fi films, definitely. But if you're looking for a film in the theaters, there is one that I would suggest right now. It's called Undertone. It is Canadian. It is being distributed by A24. I have a lot of friends who actually participated in the making of it, which is so cool to see this for them. One of our programmers for Pendance was the costume designer on that film, which is super cool. Shout outs to Kayla. So yeah, I mean, Undertone is awesome. Nina Kiri, like, crazy enough, I have a friend, Sonia, who directed Nina in her first short and her first feature. So it's like seeing Nina, prospering on this major scale. Nina is Serbian, so this is very cool. Um, yeah. So, anyways, I would suggest Undertone. Undertone is this. It's all over the place. The scariest movie you're gonna hear all year, dude. It is freaky, that film. So if you like horror, if you like good sound design, definitely go check out Undertone. I very much suggest it. 2001: A Space Odyssey. Kubrick is the goat. Kubrick is the goat. Stanley Kubrick is to filmmaking what Michael Jordan is to basketball. Which got me thinking, would it be cool to make a post where I identify one player example, or like one player comp for every single filmmaker? So like Christopher Nolan is Kobe Bryant for XYZ reason. Bill Russell is Alfred Hitchcock. Like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of interesting topic. Maybe I'll consider it. Maybe I'll consider making a video like that. Anyways, enough chitter chatter, whatever. It's 2:45 in the morning. Shout out to the 135 of you. Half of you are probably asleep at this point. I'll talk to y'all later, and definitely check out myself and Erison tomorrow. Oak Tree saying Kubrick was amazing with Shadow and Light. I agree. He actually DP'd a lot of his own projects, which is actually kind of funny because everyone who hears that I love Stanley Kubrick is just like, yeah, it makes sense that you love Stanley Kubrick. I have a lot of Kubrickisms. I am just 2% as talented, unfortunately. But yeah, I would say so, but I can hear the argument for the other. There's like 6 or 7 filmmakers that are in that conversation. They're in that tier. Christopher Nolan is not one of them. Denis Villeneuve is not one of them. But yeah, there's like 6 or 7 masters of cinema. I think you could definitely put all of them in that same conversation. I just think Kubrick's contributions to the technical advancement of cinema have just been impossible to ignore. Tyler later saying, "See you in Portland, Penn." I will not be there. I don't know if you've noticed, like, I'm never included in any of that conversation because I will not be there. This is a trying time for me financially. So traveling to Portland and paying for anything, or at this point, like, I don't think I can do it. I am currently in the midst of a pretty precarious financial situation that I hope will resolve itself over the next couple of weeks, maybe months, but it could be tough. Why isn't Trey Jackson Davis not getting minutes? He's been terrible. In the minutes he's played, has been terrible. Lately, at least. Now I wonder if this is his confidence being shot. I certainly expected him to be a lot better than this. So yeah. Anyways, man, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.